Good morning, 7 East. 45th episode of Lepre Radio coming at you today. Very interesting topic. One that I think has captured the interest of many people and will continue to do so because of how dramatic it is. And I can't think of a better way to tell a dramatic story than actually tell it as a story. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We are on the air. Our daily countdown will be the first thing on our agenda, but then we have the main event, the assassination of President Lincoln. That is where the slideshow from 1864 to 1865 left off. There to be continued. The assassination of President Lincoln. That is our topic for today. But first, our daily countdown. Yes, it is Tuesday. No new assignment. Please continue the assignment for 1864 to 1865. You have today to finish it also. It'll be on Wednesday. You'll also notice there's another assignment on Wednesday. And I'm posting an assignment early on Friday. The Rebuilding America questions. So it's normally for Monday, but I'm letting you do it early for those of you who want to. The due date is not pushed up, but I'm posting it early if you're interested in doing it early. And 14 is our number of the day because we have 14 days of school remaining, possibly less, we'll see, but no more than 14, I don't think. So now, on to the main event, the assassination of President Lincoln. So, Lincoln Assassination timeline of events. I'm going to tell this story. It's like a picture book story. Not the most happy ending at all, but still very interesting nonetheless. So this story begins April 14th, 1865. This is 5 days after Robert E. Lee surrenders to Ulysses S. Grant. Well, the play, Our American Cousin, is being performed at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. on the night of April 14th, and the president's attendance is advertised publicly. Probably not a good idea in retrospect. So you see here the advertisement. This evening, the performance will be honored by the presence of President Abraham Lincoln. Not a good thing in retrospect to announce. President Lincoln is given a private box in the second level of the theater, where he will be accompanied by his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, and they invite another couple, General Ulysses S. Grant and his wife, Julia. They are invited to join them. Now, fortunately for those two, they decline the invitation. So Ulysses S. Grant declines the president's invitation. He's probably exhausted. Just 5 days ago, he ended the Civil War, essentially. But another couple is invited. Major Henry Rathbone and his fiancée, Clara. They join the president and the first lady in that box. So President Lincoln's group is given a place of honor with their own private box right in front of the stage at Ford's Theater. So you can see it in the top left of this image. They have a box right on stage, right here. So literally, probably touch the actors from there, depending on how long your arms are. Lincoln arrives late to Ford's Theater while the performance is already going on. It's a shame he wasn't late to miss the whole thing. He may have been alive. And during the performance, around 10 p.m., a man creeps up the stairs that lead to President Lincoln's box. These are the actual stairs. The man opens the door quietly and goes unnoticed. The performance is still going on. He then takes out a pistol and a hunting knife and sneaks up behind Lincoln. He fires a shot right into the back of President Lincoln's head, who collapses motionless into his seat, and he will die from the wound some hours later. Major Rathbone, who accompanied the Lincolns, rushes the assassin, attempting to tackle him, but the assassin takes the knife he had in his other hand and slashes Major Rathbone in the arm. It's a very serious injury. In the struggle, the assassin jumps out of the box and onto the stage. The assassin lands on the stage, hurting his leg, raises his knife in the air, turns towards the audience, and says, "Sic semper tyrannis," and leaves the stage. Audience is completely shocked, has no idea what's going on. Backstage, the assassin bursts out of the theater and escapes on his horse to get prepared outside for his escape. All this happens in the span of probably just a few minutes at most. Now your questions, let's review this. Who was the assassin? Well, it turns out the assassin was a familiar face to everybody in Washington, D.C., maybe America as a whole. The assassin was a man named John Wilkes Booth. He was one of the most famous actors in America at the time. Well, why did he do it? Well, Booth was a supporter of the South, and he thought that by killing the president, he could inspire the South to continue the fight even after Robert E. Lee's surrender. He had been part of a conspiracy to actually kidnap Lincoln at one point, but when that proved to be not practical, It simply went to assassination, and others were planned to be assassinated as well, including Ulysses S. Grant if he had been in the box with Lincoln. How did he get such easy access to the president? Think about today. It's like you can't get anywhere near the president, Secret Service and all that stuff. So how did he get so easily accessible? Or how was the president so easily accessible to him? Well, remember, John Wilkes Booth was a famous actor and a celebrity. People didn't think it was suspicious that he was walking around the theater. It was normal. He's an actor. Of course he's around the theater. And like with celebrities today, it probably seemed natural for him to be near or meet the president. So think about all the celebrities who get to meet the president. Back then, people probably thought the same thing. He's a celebrity. I guess he's in the theater to meet the president. Why shouldn't shock anybody? And here we have a picture of Booth in his ancient Roman costume for his acting roles. How did he get away? Well, there's two parts to this. Well, one is that he pre-planned the whole thing. And he was part of a bigger conspiracy to assassinate other government officials, too. I think someone was assigned to assassinate the Vice President, Andrew Johnson. They didn't succeed. Someone was also sent to assassinate the Secretary of State. And they tried to, and they stabbed him, but he ended up living. So Booth had his horse waiting outside for him, and he had an escape plan. But one of the things that actually helped him escape was that the audience was so shocked, and actually so used to seeing Booth on stage, that some of them thought it was even part of the performance. They didn't realize what happened until Booth had left. So they saw him on the stage. They thought it was part of the show. But they didn't realize until right after he escaped that something had gone horribly wrong and that the president had been killed. Question, what did Booth say on stage and what did it mean? So this is one of the things that people are always confused about. So Booth's words on stage were Sic Semper Tyrannis. And that is a Latin phrase, and it's also the state motto of Virginia. And that translates to, thus always to tyrants. The phrase is a warning to leaders that if they act like a dictator or a tyrant, they will get what's coming to them, meaning they'll be killed. So in Booth's view, Lincoln was a tyrant over the South, and so Booth set out to kill him. So he's, in his view, he's doing what's right, but he's universally condemned. It's an act of murder. The North is horrified by it. But what happens to Booth? Well, after going on the run, Booth was found a couple of weeks later hiding in a barn. The soldiers tried to capture him alive, but he refused to be taken alive, so they set fire to the barn and shot at him. Booth got shot and died soon after. What was the reaction to the Lincoln assassination? Well, the North predictably was devastated and angry, and going against Booth's hope, the South didn't use the assassination as a reason to keep fighting. It just depressed people more. Many Southerners were actually outraged and upset by the assassination, knowing it would only make things worse for them after the war, which it did. Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, who's still loose at this point, he was satisfied with it. He was wishing that not only had Booth died, but also the vice president, not only had Lincoln died, but the vice president as well, and a few others. But Robert E. Lee, on the other hand, he had the opposite view. He was horrified by it. He called the assassination a crime previously unknown in this country, and one that must be deprecated or opposed by every American. So the general mood is not really of like vengeance for the South. It's more about just they're depressed. They know that this is not going to end well for them. The fight's already over. Like, why would you go and do this and make the situation worse for us? Now the North is going to want to punish us, which many of them do as a result of this. So who is the president after Lincoln? That is President Andrew Johnson. So he's Lincoln's vice president. He's also a member of the Democratic Party. So remember, Lincoln's a Republican. He's a Democrat. Lincoln tried to pick someone from the other party to unite the country. And he's from Missouri, I believe. And he assumes the presidency after Lincoln's death. As a Democrat, he is going to have a hard time because he's not liked by the Republicans or the Southern Democrats who hate how he supported the Union while coming from a slave state. Andrew Johnson will become the first president to be impeached, but that is a story for another day. And last but not least, I'll leave you with some random entertainment note. The conspiracy behind the Lincoln assassination is a big part of the plot of National Treasure 2. A movie not nearly as good as the original, but a movie I still can't help but like. And to be honest, talking about it right now, I'm in the mood to watch it again. So in National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets, the Lincoln assassination is front and center as one of the historical events in the film. But I'll leave that for a day, then maybe a day when we can discuss it. Who knows? If you guys see it, tell me what you think. You can talk about it on the Google Meet on Thursday. But other than that, that brings an end to this edition of Free Lepre Radio. Rest in peace to Abraham Lincoln. We miss you. And that's it for today.